Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another episode of Stuff and Such. Today we're going to go over what I suspect is a leaking air or leaking fuel line, and just kind of want to get a little bit of an idea to you guys about what you can kind of expect. I'm not certain that's the issue with this thing, but basically what's happening is it's running on a high idle. So what's happening is it's sucking too much air for what the carb is set for to fuel that. And that's kind of how you can kind of tell things apart from one another. If you're getting higher RPM or higher rev, and it's hello woodpecker. Yeah, if it's if it's revving higher than it's supposed to be, because your carb is set to meter fuel, not so much to meter air. Well, kind of, but basically your fuel is set, and then once you start introducing more air to the system, then that's when you get high idle. So what you'll kind of see, I'll try and start this up here, and I've kind of fiddled around with the carb a bit, and that's usually a good sign, is when you're fiddling around with the carb and you can never catch what you're looking for. It's always one way or another too far. So I'll start this up and I'll try and explain to you what's going on. See how it just kind of sucked the air there? That's why the RPM picked up and then fell again when it closed off. You can kind of, if you have an ear for sound, you can kind of tell what's going on. I have the low jet set pretty rich to compensate for leaking air, and that's when often it'll kind of fall on its face on an idle after a while, because what's happening is it's kind of overloading the air to fuel mixture, but at a rate that the idle can keep up with. So it's good for a bit, and it's just a little fat, so then it kind of dies. But then, as you can see, it's on wide open throttle. You could hear it kind of up and down, so it was getting shots of air from somewhere. I replaced the seals in this thing just because I wanted to, and it wasn't an issue. Ideally, most things I'd always do is change that fuel line. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the top cover off, dump the fuel out, and I'll show you how we change the fuel line. So another issue that could be going on, and I won't rule out just yet, is it's possible that the tank vent is kind of glitching. And how I mean by glitching, kind of flicking on and off. Not flicking on and off, but it's kind of taking pressure and releasing pressure. So you reach in there with your needle pliers or hemostats, see if you got, and pull that thing down there. So here we have this cord here. You got her. So if it'll focus, you'll see a hole right there. And there's the issue. So the new ethanol gas, it's been known to eat rubbers pretty good. So it's probably something you could just plan on doing every couple of years. just preventative maintenance, because you can't really tell when it's going to happen. So that hole there, that'll ruin your day. I sell these fuel lines, replacement fuel lines, and they've seemed to have been, I'm not going to say they're the best by any means, but they've been good enough for my purposes, and that's pretty good. So the ones I sell, they're fairly cheap. They're, I think, 10-15 bucks or so, and they've been one of the more better ones I've had. Some of them I crack really quick. These have been pretty good. But you can feel this one. It's hard to explain a feel, but it's just, you can tell it's losing its strength. You can feel the difference between the one that's in gas and one that's out of gas. This one's more firmer. This one's a soft, squishy hose. It wouldn't surprise me if it was kind of collapsing, and you can kind of see wear marks on it too. And it's not that old. Alright, so you want to know how to get this in here. That's kind of I'll tell you how you do it. So take your filter and stick it on the end first. Now you see how one flange is bigger than the other. This flange is bigger than this flange. The ribbed end is bigger than the smooth side. So you want to go like this. You want to go in the tank, fish it up through the hole, and then pull it up. To make it easier, I like to lube mine up. And don't be shy either. So you look down the hole, you kind of find it in that area, and then just kind of get it in the spot, wiggle, 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 and as Gordon Ramsay would say, boom, we're in. And then you stiffly pull it up until she pops into place, and just like that, it's done. Last step, hook this on here, onto your carb, put that on there, nice and deep. Perfect. So basically the telltale sign of that it's a fuel line Whew. That was really dirty. The telltale sign of a fuel filter is that basically you can't tell what it is. I know it sounds stupid, but with a crank seal you can kind of lay it on its side and it'll act funny, or you lay it on the other side and it'll act funny. That's kind of a crank seal. If it's blowing hard smoke or something, it's often leaking between the oil reservoir and into the crank housing. And even with a crank seal sort of leaking, you can kind of tune it a little bit and it'll sort of work until the crank seal goes so bad that it's useless. But with the fuel line, you'll tune it and it'll run sort of okay for 2 seconds, and then it'll either fall on its face because now it's too rich because that gap in the fuel line closed up, or then you'll have it tuned perfect and it'll fall on its face because then the gap opened up and then now it's too lean. So it's just kind of nonsense. So I'm gonna tune this thing, give you kind of a quick idea how to tune a chainsaw. 1.5 turns out is a typical starting point. Now when you seat them in, don't crank on them, just finger tight, just gentle. You don't want to hurt the tip. So half, 1, half, and now that's just a reference point. Let's start her up. Alright, let's give her a whirl here, see what happens. Okay. Alright folks, so that finishes this little video on how to change a fuel line. As you can see, it was successful. Just ripping through it here, gnarly hitch. You probably are wondering why it's smoking like a son of a bear, and may have made a comment along the lines like, oh, your oil is leaking into your crankcase and it's just smoking like mad there, by. But you know what's just going on there is I dumped the fuel into a oil container, so she's burning a wee bit of motor oil. Anyways, she's working perfect now. She yeah, that's all that matters. She's working perfect. Anyways, next video I'll probably do on this saw. I can tell it's starting to have one more issue. It's not serious yet, but it will. Is the fuel tank vent. So when that starts to get more prevalent, I'll do a video on that. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel. Well, one of my bigger subjects is chainsaws. There is also a whole bunch of stuff you'll see coming up in the future. You'll see maple syrup seasons coming up next month. I've been mostly doing the 3/16 gravity stuff, so you can check that stuff out if you want. If not, well, it's your loss. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.